Have you ever felt like there's a secret all the big and successful artists are hiding from you on how they improve their craft and make money from it? Well, let me let you in on a secret. Come closer. Being a better artist isn't a destination, it's a journey. So keep that in mind as I show you my personal roadmap to how I've been growing as an artist. Now, I might not necessarily consider myself to be a famous or popular artist, but I think I'm doing pretty okay and still growing, which is kind of the whole point of this video, right? And just for you to know how far I've come as an artist, this is what my drawings used to look like back in the day, and this is what they kind of look like right now. And I know they are still getting better. And now I'm trying to explore even more mediums to even better grow as an artist. If you are new here, my name is Abraham Costa. I'm a hyperrealism artist, and welcome to my YouTube channel. But if you're an OG, welcome back. So first, let's talk about improving your skills, which is probably why you clicked on this video in the first place. But if we are being honest with ourselves, we know there's so much more to art than just your drawing or painting skills. There are a lot of other deeper stuffs that have to go into place to make you a better artist. Now, I'm going to leave that up to you to decide if you want to stay in this video to hear the other stuff close to the end of the video. But without further ado, let's dive right into the 4 ways you can improve your drawing skills. Now, you and I both know this video won't even be complete if I don't talk about consistency, right? And I know you've probably heard a lot of people say you have to be consistent, blah blah blah, this, that, if you want to be great at anything. Well, let me tell it to you again. Yes, you have to be consistent because there is no way you are going to improve in something you don't do regularly. You have to put out stuff, show up for yourself, put in the work and all that. And I know there's probably nothing I want to say about consistency that you probably haven't heard before. So I'm not really going to dwell too much on this. So let's just move to the second point, which is getting the right art supplies and materials. Now there's so much that can be said about art supplies and art materials because art supplies will drastically improve the quality and the way your drawings look. They're actually very underrated. I remember when I started using charcoal and high-end graphite pencils and a lot of other high-end art supplies for graphite and charcoal artists. I remember this drastically changing the way my drawings looked, and it just improved it so much that I almost didn't even recognize or even believe that I was the one that was creating this quality of artworks. So first thing you need to do is do your research on the art supplies you should be using. Now, if you are a graphite and charcoal artist and you're into hyperrealism, I've created a video earlier on the art materials you should be using for a beginner level. Now you're going to be seeing that up here. So you should go and check that out after you finish watching this video. And if you're into other mediums, you have a lot of resources on the internet that you can use to do your research and find out which materials you should be using to set you ahead in your art career. Because when I changed my art materials, it set me years ahead of what I would have been if I kept on using those old and shitty materials I was using. So it's very important. One of the first things you should do after you finish watching this video is go do your research on the art materials that you should be using. And speaking of research, this actually kind of brings me to the third point, which is doing your research. As an artist, it's not just all fun and games. You actually have to do your research. And one thing you need to know is you are not the first. A lot of artists have been here and a lot have gone. So a lot of people have been there, done that. So you need to find out those artists that are in your niche and prospering and doing what you'd like to do and go study the model of how they were able to build their career, things they did, and their art styles. You need to learn from them, model what they are doing. Now, I'm not saying you should outright go and copy them. I'm just saying try to kind of use their model as a template for how you should build and grow. And I'm also not saying you should copy their art styles also. Just try to be unique, but then try to use them as examples on what you would like to model to improve and grow as an artist. So doing your research is very important. And this is one thing I've noticed a lot of artists actually miss because on Instagram, I get a lot of DMs from artists asking me questions that I know they can just easily Google. The internet is there for a reason, so make it your friend. Ask Google that question. Check out those tutorials on YouTube before you slide into someone's DM. Now, if you've done all your research and you can't find the answers you're looking for, then you can slide into the DM of someone that you think would have the answers to the questions that you have. Now, that being said, my DMs are always open, so if you have questions, you can always slide into my DMs and I'll try as much as possible to attend to all the questions that I have. Now, a bonus tip for sliding into people's DMs, because when you're sliding into people's DMs, I see a lot of people just trying to be polite and all. You don't need all that. I'm not saying you should be rude or anything like that, but I mean, go straight to the point. Don't beat around the bush saying, I, this, blah, 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 asking for your favorite food and all that. All that is just waste of, no one has time for all that. We are all here trying to make that paper, if you know what I'm saying. So just be pleasant, greet, and then go straight to the point. That way it's easier for them to just answer you because no one has that time to be going back and forth with you. So just go straight to the point and then you get your answer. C'est fini. Now on to the fourth point. Another really, really important thing I hardly ever hear people talk about is making sacrifices. Now as an artist, it's important for you to understand that you would need to make sacrifices for your craft. Now I remember when I was in secondary school, I would save up my lunch money and use it to buy better art materials and supplies that I use to improve my artworks. Because I mean, who needs lunch anyways? Because I can't remember the last time I had lunch. So just try to find ways to save up and then get the supplies you need. And then is these sacrifices are things I still make till today. Because I mean, I might not necessarily be having to sacrifice my lunch money right now. Because I mean, as you grow as an artist, the things you'll be needing to sacrifice will also change. But one thing you need to know is sacrifices will always have to be made, from sacrificing resources to time. So just have that in mind. So now that we are done talking about how to improve your skills as an artist, let's move on to talking about how to fuel your creativity and stay productive. Now in this second key point of the video, we're going to be talking about finding motivation, staying inspired, and how to handle burnout. Because you all know, as an artist, these are things you have to face, and your ability to be able to overcome these obstacles will determine how fast and how well you get to grow as an artist. So before we go into all that, let's take a quick break and let me use this opportunity to show you two of my drawings from the art series Shades of Brown. So I used graphite, charcoal and pastel for these particular drawings. And the idea behind this was to use our skin color as a euphemism for how, as humans, we have our differences and cultural diversity, but at the end of the day, we are still more alike than we think. So yeah, that's enough of that. So let's get right back into the video. So for the first point, which is finding inspiration. Inspiration can be found anywhere at any time, even in the strangest place and the weirdest times. So as a creative, one of my major advice to you will be touch some grass, take a walk in nature, visit museums, art galleries, and one very, very important thing is to remember to keep a journal. Now, I can't overstate how important it is because when that inspiration strikes, you want to be able to jot it down and take notes real quick because you can't expect yourself to remember a lot of all these things if you don't jot them down in the moment. Some of all these things are spontaneous and they just happen in the spur of the moment. So you really need to keep a journal and then jot some of all these things down so you can refer to them later on in the future. And the crazy thing about this whole inspiration thing is that you can find inspiration in the weirdest things. The last thing you wouldn't expect anyone to even find inspiration in. And this is why Vincent van Gogh once said, I dream my paintings and I paint my dreams. And I know this might sound a little cryptic, but all you just need to keep in mind is experience nature, be in the moment, and make sure to keep a journal in case of when inspiration strikes because you never know. The thing about inspiration is it comes like a thief in the night, so you have to be ready. So let's move on to the second point, which is stay motivated. Now, for stay motivated, there is no red or blue pill for this. You just have to stack up those really small wins by staying consistent and showing up. Because the ironic thing about motivation is once you start doing that thing that you think you are not motivated to do, you actually see your motivation level actually starts to increase as you get into doing that thing. And yes, starting might be a little bit hard, but once you get started, you get to realize that it gets easier to keep on going and pushing and putting in the work. So just get started. It's only going to get easier once you push past that difficult phase of starting. The motivation just comes and it just keeps flowing. And this actually can be best explained by Da Vinci's analogy of friction. And yes, Da Vinci was actually considered to be the father of friction because he was one of the first engineers to study it. And it was actually his notes that other engineers and scientists used as a foundation for all the knowledge and findings they had on friction. But basically, what the analogy stated was that the coefficient of static friction is always going to be greater than that of kinetic friction. Now, what this just means is the fact that it's going to be a lot harder to get an object that is stationary to start moving. But then once you get that object to start moving, the force you would require to keep that object moving is going to be a lot less than the force you needed to get it to start moving in the first place. So just get started. I hope this whole analogy has convinced you to get started on that thing you've been procrastinating and stop waiting for some god of motivation to bestow motivation upon you because that's not going to happen. You just have to get started and then the motivation comes after. So let's move on to the third point, which is handling burnout. Now, if you are a creative, you just need to have it in mind that this is a challenge you are going to have to face at one point in time or the other. There is no escaping it. So some of the early signs of burnout is feeling uninspired, lack of motivation, being overly critical about your drawings, keep criticizing yourself and stuff like that. And then one of the most common is actually dreading getting out of bed in the mornings because you're just scared of what the day holds and then you feel so anxious and all that. So if you've gotten to this stage in your art career, some of the tips I mentioned earlier about staying inspired and motivation might not necessarily work for this stage because this is an entirely different issue. The lack of motivation and inspiration is just now a symptom of it. And so some of the solutions I provide to those might not necessarily work here. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't still try it out. You can still try them out. But I'm going to be telling you some other measures you can put into place once you start feeling you're getting burnt out. So at times like this, you need to take a break and give yourself time to recharge. Now, if you're the kind of person that you can't completely and totally take a break from art, one thing I can advise you to do is to shift gears and involve yourself in other creative activities that are less stressful and draining. And this might actually be a great option for a lot of people because I know if you're an artist, it's going to be really, really hard for you to stop doing what you love doing. Then exercising, eating well, and sleep well. This is actually very important because I remember there was a time this was the only thing that was keeping me sane. Eating the gym, working out, sticking to the right diet, and ensuring that I got enough sleep. This is very, very important. And the thing is, you don't really need to do anything all that intense like that. Just keep your body active so you can get your blood flowing. Now, if all these things I've mentioned don't work, one thing you might want to consider is seeking help from a professional because a lot of the symptoms of burnout kind of coincide with clinical depression. So you go to a professional and ensure it's not depression and it's just burnout. Because mental health as an artist is very, very important. You don't want them to stick us in that stereotype of tortured artists like they did Vincent van Gogh. You don't want anyone labeling you as crazy. So this video is already getting a lot longer than I had hoped. So to avoid just rushing and breezing through the last point, I'm going to be creating a separate video for that because in that video I'm going to be talking about how to improve and grow your career as an artist and make money from your artworks. So in that video, we're going to be talking about the different ways you can monetize your passion. So if this is something you would like to see and watch, just subscribe so you get notified when this video drops, because I'm sure you don't want to miss out. So thank you for sticking with me to the end of this really long ass video. Please don't forget to smash that like button. Share this video with a friend if you think it was really helpful to you and you think it will be helpful to them. And also in the comment section, you can share with us some of the ways you've been able to grow and see improvement in your skills and your craft as an artist. And questions are welcome too. So please, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. And I'll be looking forward to seeing you at the next video. Caster out.